Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and good evening those listening online. This is the meeting of Sevenoaks Town Council's Finance and Delivery Committee, held on the 8th of June at 7 p.m. We are quorate, so can begin the meeting. We have two public speakers, so we will deal with them first. Andrew, would you like to take the quick introduction? That's what you'd like to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Andrew Hare. I'm Chief Executive of the State Community Arts Centre. Thank you for this opportunity to speak in response to the offer made by Sevenoaks District Council to Sevenoaks Town Council, which of course impacts the State. In clause 15 of the report to the District Council's upcoming Finance Committee, there is a comment that a commercial operator had contacted the State alongside an implied criticism that this had not been included in the Town Council's business case as part of its community asset transfer application. This was a cold call approach by the operator in 2010, some 16 years ago now, and completely irrelevant to the current situation. We met them and listened, but they wanted to run the cinemas and split them off from the community theatre and the plaza, separate from the community we serve. They wanted to apply a higher ticket pricing. They would move away from showing first-run blockbuster films. They wanted to rebrand the frontage and the foyer, and they required to completely take over the kiosk and the bar. It was such a departure from the community model we had introduced that we advised the operator in 2010 that we wouldn't be proceeding, and did not hear direct from them again, although we continually hear of potential plans to open in the area, not least in the new developments in Tunbridge Wells, whenever and if they might proceed. I did want to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Maskell, leader of Sevenoaks District Council, for initially clarifying and then following through with his promise that the Stag would not be the subject of commercial sale. He has kept that promise. This is reflected in his latest papers with its three recommended options. I remain in favour of the option for the freehold of the Stag to be transferred locally to continue the work of the Stag in the local community, and I hope a successful agreement can be reached between the two councils. Only with a freehold in local control can our ambitions be fully realised. Increased capacity to attract bigger shows to Sevenoaks, increased technical service to our hirers, and increased service and accessibility to all our customers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. We're going to be much more about this, I think, under item 10. Does anybody have a specific question of Andrew in respect of that clarification? Or are we happy to move on? Great, thank you. We normally take Redfield but that unusually is happening after this meeting. So I think we're very happy we can to have your update now.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be brief because we've got a lot today. Not much has happened in the year and 2 months since we last here. The Council's annual meeting. There has been a report to the new chair, Jeremy Eustace, who has taken over, and unusually the vice chair was replaced as well. And this was symptomatic of a political situation within the reform and trying to get rid of the processes of the council. The short focused inquiry on water that I think I spoke about last time was delivered, and in the immediate aftermath of that, rather than waiting for the response, the response has come rather sooner, and so the administration is setting up a water management partnership, and that is due to be chaired by the leader of the county council and due to start almost immediately. But they've yet to formally respond to the SFR. Clearly, in the district, over the course of the last month, we've had the outages in Kensington, which have caused are part of a wider narrative across the county. Really badly affected was Birchington with 12,000 people out of water. There's not much more other than we've had the change of contract into the roads. I have given Sevenoaks refugees 750 quid for the upgrade of their website out of my councillor's fund. But I do have a fair amount. The only thing that I would like to leave is I do have a fair amount left over. Well, I had saved a huge amount for a potential bike hire scheme, which obviously hasn't come to pass. So there is quite a lot of money available for community groups. And so I would ask that if amongst you're out and about, if there are projects that would fit the bill, there is a new system for which is much easier to navigate than the previous one. So yeah, I am on the lookout for community projects to support.
Great, thank you. Any questions on that?
Two questions. First, when South East Water came to the district council, it came to scrutiny, was it?
Yeah, it is.
They assured everybody we had enough water for all the houses in the local plan. They couldn't give us similar assurance in Tunbridge or Tunbridge Wells. Do we know why? That there's a difference.
We're attempting to find out. The water is abstracted from the dam and is held in the chalk below. So there is technically enough water. The issue is the infrastructure that then delivers it to the community, which is under extreme pressure. So because of its age and the lack of maintenance that's been done. So the outages aren't to do with the amount of water that's available, that's to do with the infrastructure of the water.
The second question is that I heard today that the bike hire scheme is not yet dead.
Okay,
I would like to talk to you separately.
yes, sir. Please do. I'm very, very happy to hear that. It's one of the things I would really like to.
Right, things have died, well, I've been away a bit, haven't
Can I ask a question about the water as well? Is it focused purely on clean drinking water, or will its remit extend to foul and gully water?
So the SFI is now looking more, or has posed the question to the administration. We have an issue with drinking water, which should be the priority. But we do know that, and the experience in Sevenoaks, that the two are mixed and cause a problem. And so the response, we have asked for some work to have been done on that.
Okay.
The Greens put forward a motion that was denied debate in the last county council meeting. Reform then nicked it the day after and put it out as a press release, which was good politics, I suppose, in one way. And that was definitely dealing with the whole of the water system and that we can both foul and water.
Okay, thank you. I mean, the infrastructure issues that the clean water has faced are just as prevalent in foul as well. Thank you.
Super. Any more questions? Yes.
Can I ask if there's any news about the sale of the AEC by KCC?
Funny enough, as I was driving here this evening, I was thinking, I haven't heard, and I think I ought to have heard by now. They did promise twice that they would get in touch as soon as the eyes were dotted and the T's were crossed. And I'll follow up tomorrow and then they bring on that thing.
Great. Anything else? No? In this case, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Andrew. Let's go back to the agenda. Item 1, point vice chair, it's made on the 11th of May. I think we note those. Apologies for absence.
Apologies from council and we substituted by councillor Fenton.
Excellent, thank you. Request for dispensation. There is a standing dispensation in respect of stag trustees, which I guess we just need a minute. Thank you. Any declarations of interest? We have minutes of the meeting on the 20th of April. Any comments on those? If not, are we happy to adopt them? Thank you. Which brings us straight on to the RFO's report for the year. Good evening.
Okay, so this is the report for the end of the financial year 2024-2025. We finished with a surplus of 2025-26, sorry, finished with a surplus of 23,593, 20 of which we will, the strategy is to increase the general reserves by this. There's a list of unexpected expenditure, which amounts to 108,000. So we've done really well to incorporate that into our budget and still kind of end with surplus. And the use of contingency, there's only a modest use of the contingency in the last financial year of 13,830. You'll see that there's been significant capital expenditure of nearly 2 million, no, yeah, 1,320,000, and all of this has been funded through grants. We've received grants nearly 2 million.
Great. Thank you. I guess I would say that's very encouraging. So we've come out remarkably close to our budget, notwithstanding, as you say, a whole long list of small but a lot of unexpected expenditure. The Vine Cafe stands out. I think the officers are developing a plan for the Vine Cafe. So that's in hand, and the expenditure, as you say, was offset by a very good performance in a number of areas, including variable interest, backball, community centre going very well, and extensive use of the chamber, which is excellent. Then, as you say, very large capital expenditure over the year, funded by a wide range of grants. So I think that's all very encouraging. Any comments or questions on the audio result? Councillor?
Yeah, I'd like to echo what the chair said about how brilliant it is to get to slightly exceed our target of getting a £20,000 surplus. However, the unexpected expenditure is quite high, and I wonder what the implications of that might be for our budget for 26-27. So, are we confident that our budget for 26-27 has kind of learned the lessons of the big expenditure? This is the unexpected expenditure from 25-26.
Yeah, quite a high percentage. It's between the Wine Cafe and the Station Cafe.
Yeah.
Station Cafe went to concession on the 1st of October, so that should be exempt from this year's budget.
Yeah.
We're looking at Wine Cafe, and the others. We've had an unlucky run, I would say, on maintenance to buildings. So I think it'll absorb any shocks that we've got.
All right. So you're confident that the budget we have for this financial year doesn't need to be tweaked or thought about in the light of this these unexpected expenditures? Thank you. That's very helpful.
Great. And I guess the only other thing from my perspective, we'll come back to this later in the meeting, is that our general reserves, unallocated general reserves, stand at just over £500,000. Great. We then have all of the granular detail that sits behind those reports. So we have the various appendices 1 to 6, includes a variance analysis appendix 2, and our effectively bank balances as well. Unless there are any questions on those appendices, essentially they support the numbers we've just seen. Anybody have any questions on those? Again, we then have more detailed supplies accounts for March. Payments for March, charity account, payroll for March. Petty cash for March, hospitality and gifts register for March. Does anybody have any question? That takes us all the way through to 6.6. If there are no questions, I think we need formally to approve all of those. Are we happy to do so? Thank you. Which brings us back to internal audit and internal control. On page 93. And over to you again, Georgina.
Okay, so it was a clear audit, but just with one recommendation, they said that, the systems and procedures that are currently in place are appropriate and effective. They have included a recommendation for improvement that these should not be viewed as indicators of significant deficiency. The recommendation is to undertake a data audit. So in the assertions for the AGAR, you've got assertion 10, which is a new GDPR one. So it's been quite loose this year, but they're implying that next year it's going to be quite controlled. So the data audit is quite a significant piece of work that we'll have to undertake in next year.
Fine. So that's not a failure, that's just a piece of work that
Yeah.
we are now required to do, which obviously we will do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
Could you point, sorry,
yes.
could you point to the recommendation in the
Yeah.
109, it's on page 107.
109,
Just one.
right at the end.
Oh, well, yeah, it's also on page 107. Yes, helpfully.
Could we understand a little bit more about what the, how a data audit happens, how much resource we need to go into it, sort of, and so on, do we have?
Okay, so it's understanding where all your data is and the legal basis on which you hold it. I think there are 5 legal bases for holding data. So they expect a spreadsheet, but we need to sit down, we need to look at what data we hold, where we hold it, and our legal basis, and whether we're complying with our retention policy, and get rid of data as and when we should.
And do we have any nerves about it going into the?
Linda, you undertook the last one.
I don't think it's just a resource,
Yes.
quite, and it's a new assertion 10 is new for this year, so it's not something we haven't done before. It's reviewing all the old methods and making sure that they're up to the new regulations. So it's quite a task to work, as it was when we undertook GDPR in the first place 20 years ago. But once it's done, it'll be a case of keeping it up.
Great, so again, I guess my these are new internal auditors who were appointed. I think it's extremely encouraging that having gone right through our controls and procedures, they basically find them entirely robust. So I think again, we need to congratulate the finance team.
Yeah.
That internal audit report we note. However, that then brings us on to page 112, which is the 2-page document setting out our statement of internal controls, which is essentially based on the internal audit report. The assertion is justified by the internal audit report. which essentially says in the year 30th March 2026, no significant weaknesses in the council's systems were identified. Are we happy to adopt that for signature by Georgina and I? Yep. Thank you. Right, we now need to go back because there are a series of, we're going back to page 101. So in our year-end accounts, we need to make a number of assertions and agree them. Linda, do you want to take us through these 1 to 10?
If we have to do this every year, it is tedious, probably is required by law, so I will read out some statements and please can you just say yes or no, and then the chair, I think, will at the end, the resolution for all of them. So, number one, we have, you have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statement.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Maintain an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption and review its effectiveness.
Yes.
Yep.
You have assured yourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
You provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of legal accounts and audit regulations.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems.
Yes.
Yep.
You took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit.
Yes.
Yep.
You considered whether any litigation, liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements.
Yes.
Yep.
We don't have a trust. You have put in place arrangements for the effective IT and data management in accordance with proper practices during the year under review.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. So are we happy to agree all of those statements? Yep. We then, I think, go on to page 113, which contains the accounting statements, essentially all the figures for the previous financial year. Is there anything to say on these? Georgina?
Okay, so you've got the accounting statements and it's compared to the year before. If we turn to page 118, 119, this shows the reason for any variances. So you have to report if, I think it's 100,000 or a variance of 15%. You have to put the numbers and show where the variances are. So under the precept, we're fine. There was no further explanation needed. For the total receipts, we were 217% out for last year, but that's due to the grants received for greatness. So that's all been added in, and then we've got to 600 further explanation needed. And the only other one where explanation was needed was the fixed assets, and that's because the allotment monies were repaid and it was recorded under the fixed asset as a long-term loan. So that made a big variance for the fixed assets.
Fine. So all of those schedules, 13 through 121, we need to approve. Happy to do so, thank you. And the final thing that we need to do is to agree that these numbers will be available for public inspection. We're on page 125. We happy to approve that? Thank you. Right. So that deals with financial reports for last year. We then have agenda item 7. We have 1 month's results, i.e. results for April. And this focus that we dwell on because it's 1 month, but Regina, would you like to give us a quick summary?
At the end of April, the year-to-date position shows a surplus of 32,000. If you look at the biggest variances, I draw your attention to grass seed, as it's at 93.3% of the annual expenditure, but there is extra work being undertaken to the pitches and further plant training addition to the football foundation to help offset this. No money has been used out of the contingency, as you'd expect, yet there's no outstanding debts. Any questions?
Any questions on those 1 month numbers?
Just one from me, if I may. Sorry, I should have picked up on this in advance. The invoices for Skylight Roof work at the Vine Pavilion, is that work all now complete?
Yes, very tiny amounts to be done, but the majority of the ones.
Thank you and well done. That's been long, drawn out and difficult. Thank you.
Fine. And we then have again all of the supporting schedules that lie behind those numbers. And the items 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6. Are we happy to approve all of those? Thank you. Brings us on the Dartford Road pedestrian crossing, where the update as to the final cost. Did you know? On page 187, appendix 8.
Yes, it was reported that the actual project came in under budget at a cost of approximately 76,000. The active travel fund from KCC is going to cover 55,000 of that. And the remainder is going to be split 50-50 between us and SDC. And we've received a grant for that and will return to them any difference.
Great. Yes.
Very well. So some of this presumably occurred in previous year, did it?
Yes.
Yeah, so the only thing that's left to pay is the 6,000.
Yeah.
96. Right, thank you.
Good. Good. So it costs a lot to build a pedestrian crossing, but not as much as we feared. Yes.
I just say the coverage it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure all councillors share that. It's just every time I drive along, I think.
I've had people who say it's changed their life for untimed things now. They can get to school. It's just brilliant.
So much safer, isn't it? It is, yeah.
I'll add it's
I'm always
safer.
stopping there actually.
Yeah.
It slows me down getting there.
It's safer cycling locally as well, I'm finding, because it makes that junction much more navigable and creates the breaks in the traffic to allow you to cycle around that junction.
It's slowed down that tendency to put your foot down as you're coming down the hill, doesn't it? Really.
It's good.
Very good.
Right, excellent. Moving on to Longspur Wood, 189. If I could just briefly summarise here, so we're all familiar with the large piece of land that we bought with a very generous support from the community. A smaller piece of land next to the other piece of land has been put on the market. We have registered it and therefore have a 6-month period under which to negotiate with the seller. and we are at very early stages of that conversation. So unless anybody has anything to say other than that it seems a good idea or not, I suggest that this be deferred to our next meeting, at which stage we hopefully will have made more progress in our conversations. But would anybody like to add anything?
May I just ask a question?
You may.
When it says leasing to neighbouring residents for operational purposes, what does that mean?
Linda?
The current neighbour was originally looking to purchase it, and I think operational means that, you know, non-development and lease would be determined, that, i.e. that it would only be for gardening or whatever, not development.
Right, so I mean, it's not.
And for our operational purposes.
Okay.
So I think there are two questions. One is whether we want to buy this, and then having bought it, somebody having expressed an interest in essentially operating it on our behalf, whether we would be happy to consider that.
Right, but this will all come back at a later stage for
Correct.
conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, most of the land at Long Screen that we bought, the high portion of it is coppice. Is this also coppice?
I assume.
I don't have all those details in front of me.
Okay. Don't know what it is.
Steve, do you know the size of these pieces of land?
Yes.
Right. Will you be kind enough to tell me?
Much smaller.
No.
The original Long Swing wood.
Yes, I know.
All the details and sizes and what was given to planning, I think, 2 weeks ago. I don't have it on hand now, but it has already been discussed by council.
Fine. Okay. So if we are happy to defer that, we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is disposal of community assets, specifically the freehold of the Stag Theatre. Maybe I should start with a few kind of background comments, and then I'm sure that councillors will want to express their views. So as everybody knows around the table, this process actually began about 18 months ago, following a Blue Sky meeting about the Stag, where we had developed some extremely exciting long-term plans to make major improvements to the building. And we approached the freehold of the Sevenoaks District Council, given that at that stage we had only 10 years left on the lease, and felt that that made it essentially impossible to raise funds for major development. So that conversation started. It then got sidetracked by the announcement of local government reorganisation 15 months ago. Sevenoaks District Council initiated a process whereby across the whole district, parish councils, town councils could apply for the transfer of assets that they owned. And there was a very prescriptive top-down process in which we and everyone else were required to submit detailed business plans, go externally for valuations and so on, which we did, and which required a great deal of time and quite a lot of money. We have waited and waited and waited for that to be told essentially what SDC's approach was. At 5 o'clock last Monday night, the SDC FIAC papers were published. Councillor Shea, the town clerk, and I had a meeting at 9 o'clock the following morning with SDC, mainly officers, but also the leader of the council. So we had had very little time to study the papers. But we had a conversation around clarification of issues. I'll come back to that in a moment. Anyway, as I think everybody will know, and as is in these papers, the district council is presenting us with three options. First option is to acquire from them the freehold for £650,000 with conditions. So they are intending to impose conditions on that around change of use and so on. Second option is a 30-year peppercorn lease, which will replace the current lease, which now has 9 years to run. So it would start again for 30 years. And the third option, which isn't really an option, is that if we are not interested or cannot agree with them on the first two, then nothing will happen, and the freehold will default to the new unitary council. I won't go through those options because I know councillors have views on all three. All I will say is that at the meeting last Tuesday morning, the approach of district council, the officers and the leader was that there were only three options, and that other than clarifying detail, through negotiation over freeholds or leases, that other than clarifying detail, that they had neither the time nor the inclination to make essentially any changes to those options. We were asked to come to a decision before the meeting of Sevenoaks District Council's FIAC committee tomorrow evening, and we demurred over that. We were told that the Sevenoaks District Council cabinet meeting, which is on Tuesday week, would take a final decision on this disposal, and that we would certainly be expected to tell them before that meeting what, if anything, we wanted to do. And obviously, if we did not tell them what we want to do, then the default would be no action. So that essentially is where we are at. We are still receiving information. We received, I think, on Friday, advice given by Grant Thornton to Sevenoaks District Council, and we received this afternoon a copy of SDC's valuers report, which is significantly different to our valuers report. So that is essentially where we are. I know that there are strong feelings around the table. So I'm very happy, councillors, to express their opinion on where we're at. Who would like to start? Councillors.
First of all, I think being asked to make a decision of this magnitude under such tight timelines and so on, and with very little opportunity to discuss, is not the best way of moving forward. I think it would be wrong for the residents of Sevenoaks to pay what is in effect the tax of £650,000 to the district council. SAG's already an asset for the town. It's received significant support from town residents through town council over the years. The district council's overall community asset transfer process is, in my view, flawed. Normally, these kind of community asset transfer is done at nil value and is done in the interests of the residents in the community. Not only is the policy of the community asset transfer from the SDC flawed, in my view, the way that they've applied it is flawed as well. And I think that the valuations that they have come up with, in respect of the stag are ones with which we disagree. Further, if the town residents were to pay an extra £650,000 to the district council at this stage, there is no guarantee at all that that money would be used for the benefit of the town or indeed of the district, because in effect that money will be going to the unitary authority, and the money would then be used across all of West Kent. And so I think it's a bit rich to ask Sevenoaks residents to pay £650,000 for an asset that they have themselves supported over the years. I think the provision of a 30-year peppercorn lease also has problems. 30 years is not enough for us to undertake the exciting and significant developments that the stag, which we would like to do with the stag. The opportunities for the stag to be even better than it is at the moment are enormous. And if, as a community, we were able to invest in it, the outcomes, the results would be superb. This is why we have been consistently asking for a transfer of the freehold to the town council, so that a proper and effective investment can take place. So, and I think that doing nothing is not going to work either, because a 9-year lease effectively means that we can't do anything at all in terms of investing in the stag. So I think we've been presented in a quite a high-handed manner, it appears, with 3 options, none of which are particularly palatable. So that's my view of where we stand on that.
Thank you. Yes, okay.
Yes. I agree with much of what Councillor Skinner said. I think that the papers with which, and the analysis which the district council is presenting to the Finance and Advisory Committee tomorrow, and obviously then to the Cabinet, are prejudicial. I think, read them carefully, they're prejudicial, the next statement is really not just the case. And they're unreasonable. And the whole approach of asking us for 650,000 quid, a decision on 650,000 quid with a week to go, is just completely unreasonable for a town or parish council. We do not have the money available, which is possible we could find it. But like Councillor Skinner, I think it is unreasonable to expect the citizens of Sevenoaks Town to fork out £650,000 for an asset which serves everybody from Swanley to Edenbridge and beyond. It serves a much, much larger population. And that this council has taken, with Andrew, the responsibility of running Stag for the benefit of a much larger area. And that has cost us. But the idea that we should pay for the entire value of the asset is completely unreasonable. Unless there was some way of applying that money back into the development of Stag. Because clearly, if we were to fork out that sort of money, that limits the cash that we have available to improve the building, which we want to do. It's unreasonable, I think, as well, because it's not just, I cannot understand the papers which have been circulated for Finance Advisory Committee at District Council tomorrow, where it claims that the £650,000 which they're asking for is an undervalue. But it's not at all clear to me that it is an undervalue, because the value of the building is limited by the lease that currently exists by the planning policies that exist in the Sevenoaks Town Neighbourhood Plan and by the policies of the district council itself as freehold owner. It is completely unreasonable, I think, to suggest that the freehold without extension of lease should pass to the new West Kent Unitary Authority. Laura Trott has been absolutely clear about that, that passing that reduced, well, short lease doesn't allow us to do anything to an authority which has got lots of other things to do, statutory things to do, and is going to be short of cash. Is a recipe for complete disaster. So even to include that in the list, I think, is just unreasonable. And there are a number of other things which just are wrong in the paper. I mean, this statement about us, the town council failing to notify them that we've had an expression of interest from somebody else 15 years ago, it's completely ludicrous. And I don't think we've had any problem at all proving either to any other authority that this paper is unreasonable and prejudicial. So, I mean, I think you'll be able to, you should be able to get this decision, whenever it is, reviewed. You don't like it. So, I mean, I think we have to, I think we have to come to a decision, not tonight, I hope, but when we heard what Fire have got to say, we have to come to a decision which enables us to make sure that Stag carries on, and that we can at least do some of the things which we want to do, which the trustees want to do. Thank you.
Fine, thank you, councillor Shea.
Thank you. Just to pick up on that last point from councillor Clayton, I've agreed with the clerk that we'll set up an extraordinary council meeting for next Monday evening ahead of planning committee, when a majority of us will be here anyway to review where we are at that point, ahead of the cabinet meeting the following Tuesday. And thank you for those views so clearly expressed. I'm glad that there is a freehold option on the table, because for a long time we have been told that that is simply not possible. So there is some progress, I suppose, in so knowing that it is on the table, albeit with a very, very large price tag on it. I know I and many of you have been clear all the way through this that double taxation of residents, asking them to pay again for an asset which is already owned by the public purse, is not appropriate for us or for any other parish. That isn't specific to this asset, actually. My view is that that should not be happening for any of the assets under consideration here. This is about stewardship, ongoing stewardship of existing public assets, some of which in here and in other places around the district have been bought by or for or donated to the towns and villages in question. We want to invest in the theatre. We want to make it the best place it can possibly be. We're looking at this at the same time as looking at draft local plans coming through that will see this town grow, if implemented the way it's evolving, by at least 20%, maybe as much as 40%. And the town's facilities will have to grow with it to meet the needs of that population. And that's what we set out to do, as in collaboration with the Stag, looking at what the options were for the future. Looking ahead, and it's a short look ahead to the rest of this week and the beginning of next week, there are these three options. I'd like to hear what FIAC have to say tomorrow, actually. It's Cabinet's decision in the end. FIAC is not the same group of people. I think we should hear what they have to say and give ourselves the space to listen, to respond to what is said in that forum, and come back together next Monday and see where we're at before Cabinet District Council meets next Tuesday. I've probably missed a lot of other important things, but I'm sure there are other views around the table.
Thank you, Chair. I want to reiterate a lot of what Councillor Shea has said. The Stag isn't just an asset that we own and we want to keep it, and that we're fond of, and that we're will feel, you know, pleased that we have. It's actually an essential cultural beating heart of a town this size, and a town that's going to improve, as Councillor Shea says, with the local plan coming in. Towns die with no culture, without a cultural set heart to them, and this town needs a stag that will move into the future with the population of this town, and the only way we can do it is if we can invest in it, and the only way we can invest in it is if we have a freehold. It's not, it won't be a place worth living if we haven't got a vote, but you know, up to date and for all the future generations of Sevenoaks. Thank you.
Other views, please?
I think that's pretty well summed up with those contributions to date, what I and possibly others are thinking. So I would just, you know, add to back up on those thoughts without taking up more time.
There's a technical thing, which was just puzzled me all through this. The district council has in the past transferred chunks of land to this council. They did it for when we bought the building, which is now Baton Ball County Centre. They gave us the land, and they did it with Ravens Rec. They effectively gave us the land, and the way that certainly at Baton Ball, the way they dealt with the potential for future development wasn't to require you to pay some sort of hope value. It was actually to put in an overage clause, which meant that if there was development, then the profits would go back to the district. And I don't understand why that policy has died. Does anybody else know a clue?
I'm not sure it has actually. Ironically, because the proposed transfer of freehold 650 comes with additional overage.
As well.
Yeah.
Yes.
As well.
So what's the 650 for?
The Boris Johnson principle of being in favour of cake and eating it.
Yes. Exactly. Chancellor Shane, sorry.
So just on that point, the last time that FIAC considered the stag, back in September last year, it did recommend to Cabinet that they should actively consider transferring the freehold with an overage provision to give it exactly the sort of protection that you described there. And as has been said, that it does exist in the sort of headline heads of terms proposals in the papers for the Finance Committee. It's worth just stressing, I think, that this council and others have not simply come up with a wizard wheeze to get hold of some stuff for free. There is a good legal framework that exists, set out in legislation to allow transfers of assets between authorities, and it allows for transfers at undervalue, as long as that undervalue is within a £2 million range. It can be done without needing permission from the Secretary of State, and that undervalue can be a partial undervalue, it can be a complete undervalue. There is no prescription around that in the legislation. So what we have been asking for is for that to be applied, to allow the assets to remain in local hands, and you can do it where it demonstrates that it will deliver social, economic or environmental value, which this does in spades. And that's where we've been coming from all along with this, and that is what we must, I think, keep repeating, that this absolutely does deliver that value. It was delivering it, we thought, before LGR was on the horizon, and it does it all the more so with the changes coming to local government over the coming year or 18 months.
I think this is just so important, and I'm glad we're having this very thoughtful discussion, because to have something, as the Mayor said, of cultural importance and value that many people value, is so important for the well-being of all of the town, the businesses, the schools, the residents, and the wider population that choose to come into our town to share in the things that the Stags offers. We've demonstrated over the last 50, what Andrew and others have demonstrated over the last 15 years, we can run this complicated community asset in a very responsible and thoughtful way. But it doesn't make a profit. It still needs some support from the town council, which it's had over the years, in terms of money as well as people. So thank you for all of your contributions, and I've listened very carefully, and I'm sure we will continue to value the stag and want it to be an important part of our life in Sevenoaks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything? Yes.
Just to thank officers for how hard they've been working.
Yes.
Because I know it's put them under a great deal of pressure and their behaviour and work has been exemplary. And I'd also like to thank Councillor Shea, Councillor Whiteman, because they have been towers of strength and have worked so hard on this difficult issue that we all care about so much. We all know who we represent. We all know what the stag means to us and to the community we represent. And we're working very hard to find a just solution to this.
And can I just add, the chief executive of the state, thank you.
Well, of course.
To that list, I think a lot of people are working very hard for the community.
Of course, yes, thank you, Andrew. We all know how hard you work and how much you love the stag.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, what I've been there and said, I think the main issue as well is if we only accept a lease, we're just deferring this conversation for the next generation. So this conversation will be had probably not with us, because we won't be here in 30 years. Maybe some, so to get agreed on now, you know, it's the benefit of the town for residents and for us, but I think the district council has to be open to negotiation, because to pay the current price tag is not compared to the town or future generations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that when this matter was discussed at the full council, there was a lot of support around them, a lot of calls from people for the district council and the town council to get round a table, have a discussion, and kind of sign kind of agreement that would work for everybody. And so I'm very sorry to hear that the meeting that did take place didn't seem to embrace that spirit of what how it could have done. Just we can phrase it that way, because it is a really, you know, they have put a short timetable with two very top line bad options, and I'm not sure how we can move forward with that. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
I was in the gallery for that council meeting, and I'm puzzled as to how the kind of tone of that meeting, which, as you say, was very supportive, has translated into what we're discussing tonight. There we are. Right. Anything else?
The district council members will have no say in this. That is part of the problem. It is an entirely decision hijacked by the cabinet with no say by the members.
No.
Indeed. Right. There is a recommendation, anyways, which I would like us to modify slightly, and what I would like to recommend is as follows: that first, three things. First of all relevant information as we get it is circulated at all councillors. That's been happening today. Secondly, that a group consisting of the chair and vice chair of finance, in other words, Claire and I, plus Linda plus Georgina, continue to look at all of this detail in the coming days, including after the fact meeting, right? And thirdly, as Councillor Shedd has said, that we have an additional council meeting next Monday evening, I assume at 7 p.m. To discuss where we are at and, if necessary, come to a conclusion as to how we want to proceed. Is that fine? Are we happy to adopt that? Thank you. Right.
Yeah, could I also recommend that the committee approve any related expenditure if required for assessing this week, because time is very constrained. Obviously, we'll report it all, but we haven't got time to wait for the meeting to.
Yeah. Yes, can we add that as a fourth? Sorry, yeah. Thank you. Good. Right. Glide path. Under item 11, there are various items that we need to approve according to standing orders. They are as set out in item 11, so they are inventory of assets, insurance policy as agreed at the meeting 25th of April, our current complaints policy, which is not supposed to change, our current procedure for dealing with freedom of information requests, GDPR policy, noting that recommendation I get from internal audit, and our social media and electronic communications policy, all except the latter are largely unchanged. There have been tweaks to the social media policy, which I think is on page 238. Which is so I think
Yes, I'm happy to approve all this, but there are one or two things in here which things which we do know, which are in here as either not known or not there. For example, these town council officers cost us £350,000 to build. We inherited the land, but it was actually a cost. Zero payment for mistakes, but that will be the town council office. And dealing with the stag, here's sort of our very cost acquisition or loan. Well, at least we must know what we paid for lease. It made them nothing, but
I think it's now.
it's where we do actually know what that are, and it's just not going to take it. It's just.
Can you feed those into Georgina?
Can I talk about the digital communication methods?
You certainly may.
Page 238.
238, yes indeed.
I would like to ask the council to consider whether we wish to continue using X.
Which
Right,
is
we're aware of what.
no, that's a very good
Yeah.
question. We talked about this earlier
I'm
today.
sure other councillors share my dismay and concerns with the very unwanted intervention in British politics.
Linda, do you have a view on how, I mean, I believe we use it less and less.
Mine
Would there be any consequences of using it? Not at all.
Not at the moment, but if you just take it out, obviously if something changed and you want to put it back, we have to come back to you, but at the moment it's not used.
It hasn't been used for some time. There is still an account there, but it's not in active use. So our social media at the moment is focused largely through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. But the account is still sitting there dormant. So there'll be many users who have dormant accounts and there'll be other users who have deleted their accounts. It it'd be perfectly valid for us to have a discussion about which of those routes we go down. Right now, it's not in use. I'm happy for it to stay that way. If you feel strongly that we kill it entirely.
I'm just very grateful to Councillor Nicholas for raising this. I'm not on X. And I didn't know the town council didn't use it, so now I know that we don't.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, you know, if you don't use it, it's useful to know what's going on. Yeah, if you don't.
Right, you don't have access to it, and there's some
I just wanted to. flag
unfortunate things
something.
happening. Yes, councillor, did you have?
I wasn't going to, didn't you ask me, I can suggest we mark it as dormant.
Fine, everything there? Thank you.
Comatose, if you like.
I think dormant would be
Right.
more council, more effective.
There is a schedule item 12 of the people to whom we allow for use of our rooms. And there's a budget. Councillor Kenny.
The Friends of Pontoise now has closed. So we won't be needing that anymore.
Delete that.
Yes.
Update the schedule. Thank you. Any other comments on the list or the budget? Not, we have to approve. Thank you. Sevenoaks Town minutes. Close those. Who else is on it? I'm on it, but
I'm on
you're on it, right? Those seconded and approved. Thank you. List of current matters. Anything we need to note in current matters, Linda? We're up to date.
Doing your importance just to keep you updated for some point.
Thank you. Which brings us on to press releases. I think there are at least two. I think we need to press release our financial results, including our capital expenditure and the grant received, and the very satisfactory internal audit report that we received. So that, I think, largely comprises press release number one, and then press release number two is, I think, to say where we are currently at in our deliberations on staying.
Yeah, agreed.
You're happy to do both of those. Anything else that we discussed tonight that we want to release? Not, we can close the meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Council, Sevenoaks Town Council meeting, like Monday, the 8th of June, 2026. I think we have no public questions. I think we've already had those, haven't we? Thank you. Apologies for absence. Apologies from Councillor Councillor. Thank you. Request for dispensations. No, thank you. Declarations of interest.
Nope.
Minutes of the annual meeting of Sevenoaks Town Council, 11th of May, 2026, which are attached to your papers. Does anybody have any comments on anything arising from that? No, thank you. We'll note those. We need to adopt them. We need to vote on it, don't we? But if we just vote on those, thank you very much. Minutes of committees, council will ask to consider and adopt the minutes of the following committee meetings. Planning and Environment, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose that we consider and adopt the minutes of the Planning and Environment Committee held on the 18th of May and the 1st of June 2026.
I would love to second it.
Thank you. Somebody can I have a show of hands, opposed for your chair, thank you. Community Assets, Open Spaces Committee.
It's you. Okay, Mayor, yes, I'd like to propose that we consider and adopt the minutes of the Community Assets Open Spaces Committee meeting on the 5th of May 2026.
Seconded.
Thank you. So I propose to the chair, we adopt those minutes. Thank you very much. Agenda item 6 is the finance reports. Georgina, would you like to speak to the finance reports?
Yes, so it's the internal audit for the year end.
Yes. Thank you.
The year end audit reports that the systems and procedures that are currently in place are appropriate and effective. While the report may include recommendations for improvement, these should not be viewed as indicators of significant deficiencies. So there is one recommendation which is at the end of the report, and this is to do with the new assertion 10 on digital data compliance. So they've said for this financial year that we should conduct a data audit.
So we need to vote on the recommendation arising from the Finance and Delivery Committee held preceding this meeting regarding the review of the climate controls. One, the internal audit report for the year ended with it 2025 to 2026 been received and accepted. And secondly, that the statement on the system of internal control, which we've just heard about, be approved and signed by the chair of the Finance and Delivery Committee and responsible financial officer. So I propose that from the chair and we vote on that. Thank you. And 6.2. Need to vote on this, haven't we? To consider the recommendations arising from the Finance and Delivery Committee held recently preceding this meeting regarding the annual return and statement of accounts for the year ending 31st of March 2026. That the annual governance statement 2025-26 signed by the town clerk be approved and signed by the mayor. That the accounting statements 2025 to 2026 signed by the responsible financial officer be approved and signed by the mayor. And that the annual governance and accountability return 2025 to 2026, including the annual governance statement of accounts to 31st of March 2026, and supporting papers for submission to the external auditors be adopted by full council. And that the approved accounts be made available for public inspection for 30 working days from 17th of June to 28th of July 2026. Is everybody happy with that? Any comments? Thank you, Councillor Clayton. You have been happy with voting? Okay, good. I'll have you put your hand for a vote. Thank you very much. That's done. Reports to council from Sevenoaks Town Council representatives on outside bodies. Do we have, councillor Kenny?
Was I supposed to report that I wanted to say something?
Ideally, but.
Oh, are you going, Mary, are you going to let me speak?
Yes, if you're going to speak outside body, or your representative from outside bodies.
Oh, thank you very much.
Councillor Kenny.
I thought you'd be interested because I'm the trustee of the almshouses at Sevenoaks School. And also we have cottages at Wheel, opposite the church at Wheel. And I enjoy working with the trustees. They're a very caring and careful and skilled group of people, looking after some of the older citizens in the town who not can get the chance to live in these charming little flats, which we've made as cosy as possible and maintain well and insulate and the rest of it. And it meets the needs, it's met the needs of something like 30 older people in this area for about 600 years. I wasn't a founder member. But we continue with a lot of diligence to look after these people as well as possible. It's getting a bit increasingly difficult because there is sort of no not much move on accommodation if they become unable to be independent and looking after themselves. Something I'm supposed to be looking into. So if anybody's got any information on what you can do when you're very old and you haven't got any money, tell me. Not personally, but for these people we look after. Sevenoaks School and the students also are involved. And if you ever get a chance to go in, there are some charming little courtyard gardens which people can enjoy. We have quite a lot of, the residents have quite a lot of involvement with the school, which is also has a very caring community exercises, doesn't it? So thank you. Just to let you know, we continue this 600-year-old tradition of caring for our older citizens, even in these tough times. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, councillor Kenny. It's really good to hear about that. Thank you. Can I have a councillor?
Yes, can I just take this opportunity to pay tribute to Councillor Kenny's inspiring commitment to causes in government, particularly senior citizens. And I just think it's inspiring, Councillor Kenny.
Thank you.
What you do, I really do. I felt moved to say that.
Thank you, councillor.
Thank you very much. I'm not standing here representing an organisation, for this town council organisation, because the organisation has now ceased to exist. But I did go on the final visits of Friends of Pontoise to Pontoise 3 weeks ago. And there I gave a formal speech and presented a present on your behalf.
You make a lovely speech.
And I'll give you a copy of the French version of the speech. So that you know what I said. But in it, I said that you would quite like to pop over and see them.
Absolutely ready.
And while they go and look at Notre Dame, which was brilliant. I also met a new young councillor who has been tasked with looking after their twinning arrangements. And he would quite like to come to Sevenoaks. So I intend to, or he can come stay with me if he wants to. We've got a spare bedroom. But I think it would be worth trying to just carry on the conversation with Pontoise, even though the Friends of Pontoise has ceased to exist. I mean, I think that the problem is that the model of twinning, which you are actually asking people to accept strangers into their houses, into your house, probably doesn't work as well now as it did 30 years ago. And that doesn't mean that you can't come up with an alternative model. It just means it requires a bit more thought and some other avenues to build links. But anyway, so I'll just thought I'd let you know that I've done that. So things may happen.
Thank you, Councillor Clayton. I think that's really interesting because in fact, the Friends of Rhinebeck, who were here very recently, in fact, I gave a speech in German in this very room, have suggested a similar thing with the young person, with young people in Rhinebeck. I think it's actually on the agenda for the youth council as well. They might be looking at doing, not necessarily visiting twinning, but a sort of modern version of pen pal. And it would be really good to see if they could get things like France as well. So thank you, that's really interesting. Thank you. Anything else that anybody has to say? Right, okay, so the next item is the mayor's engagement. So Councillor O'Hara and I have been moderately and happily busy, but not as busy I know as previous mayors. Time as the year goes by, so those are just some notes. Thank you. And finally, a press release. We're going to have any ideas for the press release for this council meeting. But press release and previous meeting, which is probably more important. Thank you very much. Right, thank you for being here. And those meeting at 8:25.